everybody, welcome back. I'm Ari. And so what I thought I would do today is just tell you a bit about my project, just kind of give you the lay of the land, and then we're gonna get into some goal setting for Camp Nano in July. I'll show you where I'm at with my project and the goals that I have, and kind of show you like the scrivener setup and whatnot. So the first project is called Project Gaia. I think I'm just gonna tell you the names of the books because I really like them, and like, I don't know, who knows that they're even gonna stay that name? I don't know what to do. What do I do? Do I tell you the name? Do I stick to the project? Okay, Project Gaia is, for Project Gaia, I'm just gonna stick with Project Gaia, but I might tell you the names of the other ones just because I really like the name of Project Gaia. So, basically, Project Gaia is a fantasy novel. It's about a druid. She has druid powers. She can control plants, and she's a soldier. And basically what happens is she lives in this country and she's a soldier for this government, and this country is an extremely fertile land, but all of a sudden, for the first time in like centuries, there's all of a sudden a famine. And because she's one of the only people with like plant magic, she's the one that has to get sent out to basically reverse the famine and figure out why it's happening and where it's coming from. And she meets this very strange, like, I'm calling her a mountain woman, but she's basically sent by the Dark Mother, which is the goddess of earth, to basically find this druid and help her deal with her problems. And so what winds up happening is you have these team up, this really interesting team up, and they basically go and they try to save the land. I'm still really working on a blurb for it. I feel like every single time I talk about any of my projects, I just kind of like cringe. And that's something that I really need to get over. I really just need to start feeling way more confident in my ideas. And like, of course, I need to work on how I'm presenting them and how catchy and hooky they feel. But I need to just kind of start owning it. So that's Project Gaia. Right now, I think we're sitting at a draft that's like 60,000 words. But Project Gaia has had so many iterations. It was the book that I wrote like in a completely different version, like in 2021, and then I tried to write it again in 2022, and then I wrote it again in 2023. But basically I decided that the 2021 version scrapped. The 2022 version and the 2023 version, I decided that actually the best way to write this story that I like had envisioned, because I couldn't figure out my vision for it, is like if I merged those two together. And so in January, February of 2024, I actually rewrote that whole manuscript. And so I wrote 50,000 words of like a draft zero. And I am a pantser. I kind of set up like goalposts that I know I need to hit, like these major plot beats. Like I have that idea beforehand, but I really pants the whole thing. And I rewrote the whole thing. And now what I'm doing is I'm working on a dialogue first draft. So I'm not even calling it a draft 1 at this point because I have a draft 0. I'm calling this dialogue first draft kind of like a draft 0.5. And then my plan for Camp Nano is I'm going to write like a full draft 1. And I want to try to do that in like 2 months. So I'm going to give myself July and August. The goal is really for like the next 3 months is to just bust my ass. Like I just really want to get a finished project because I have all of these manuscripts and I love these projects and they're so great, but I've never gotten a book to the point where like I feel confident enough in putting it in someone's hands and being like, here, tell me what you think. And so really the goal, next 3 months, to get a book to betas. Let's do it. That's what's going on with Project Gaia. I'm gonna show you the mood board. This is the mood board. I have a Spotify playlist for it as well, which comment down below, tell me if you wanna see it, I'm happy to link it. But basically, like I wanna get a finished manuscript in 3 months, and I wanna get beta readers. And it's time. It's time to just finish, get it in good enough shape that I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Because I've written this book. I've rewritten it like 3 times. And like, yes, granted, I'm rewriting it in like a seriously underwritten, it's never been polished way, but I really want to get it out there. I want to get feedback. So next project. This baby is near and dear. This is called What If We Broke? So it's a contemporary romance, actually. It's not fantasy. She's a pretty little thing. This book, I have a lot of things that I want to change about it. So I started writing it and the main character was like 17 years old. But the thing is this book deals with some really, really heavy themes. And so I want to age them up a bit because I think it'll be more interesting and also more appropriate to deal with these themes in an older character. The summary for What If We Broke is we have a main character, her name is Helena, and she moved to Arbor Falls several years ago, and I want to age her up, so she's probably like in college now. Basically, she needs to tutor this kid Cyril because he's failing all of his classes. And again, I need to change it to make it work for aged up characters, but they start tutoring and she really has a problem getting close to people. She really stays very closed off. She doesn't have many people that are close to her in her life. And what happens is she has to cope with the loss of her father, who had passed away several years ago. But the thing is she catches her stepfather cheating on her mother, and it brings up a lot of trauma. And so what happens is she has to lean on the only person that she has in her life, which is Cyril. And I love this book. This is the book that I'm like, this is my heart book. You know, the type of book that authors talk about, which is like, I put my whole heart on the page. This is that book. And I started editing it because there was a point where I was like, maybe this is the book that I get into like beta feedback. But I think it's part of the journey that I have to make as an author is like, I need to get more confident in my ideas because I kind of like cringe at myself and I make myself feel like my ideas are bad or like I haven't, you know, presented my ideas in compelling and interesting ways that like will hook a reader. I really want to try to work on this project because I do love this project, but I am just like so afraid of people judging me because this book feels like I wrote my whole heart on the page. Like when I was writing this book, I would just like cry. Like I would be sitting on the couch and I would be drafting and I would just be sobbing. Like I would be listening to my playlist and I would just be sobbing. And my husband would look over at me and he would be like, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "It's fine, I'm just drafting." It just hit this mark for me that really, yeah. And so there's part of me where like if it felt like that for me, like I kind of want to get it out there, but I think because it is so sensitive, like I'm okay with taking a while to write this book and making sure that it's in as good shape as it could ever be before it sees the light of day, you know? So this is what I refer to as Project Sad Girl. Here is the Sad Girl mood board. I hope that my editing skills are good enough that I can like put it here. And you can tell why I'm calling it Project Sad Girl. Honestly, the playlist that I have for this book is phenomenal. Like it is my favorite playlist. I haven't been able to make a playlist that's as good that like gets me in the zone. Like I remember for this book when I drafted this book in a month. I remember I would put on a song and condition myself until like when I start hearing the song, I'm like, I just have to start writing. It was the most magical thing. Again, it deals with some like really heavy mental health themes, but I really love it. I think I get scared to work on some creative projects because I'm like afraid of what it'll unleash from within me. Do you know what I mean? Ugh, that's ridiculous. Anyway, okay, so let me tell you about my third project. So project number 3 is called Honey and I, and it's a project about gay mobsters, and I freaking love it. It is so good. I think I got about 30,000 words into that manuscript before I realized that like I did not have a through line. Like I did not have a plot. It was just like all vibes. And honestly, the vibes were immaculate. I'm not mad about it. Like this is the mood board. I decided I had to take a break because I needed to let that project simmer for a little bit longer. Like I had an idea, I had a really good idea, I really liked it, but I needed to let some things click into place before I continued that draft 0. So like my drafting process right now is basically like I write a draft 0 where I tell myself the draft for Project Gaia, I basically am writing a dialogue first draft, and that has been so helpful. If you don't know what a dialogue first draft is, you are writing a screenplay pretty much. You basically are just writing dialogue between the characters, and it doesn't have to be the dialogue that actually like winds up into the book, but it should be dialogue of like what the character wants to say or what the character means to say or what the character does wind up saying in the book. And it has been such a helpful exercise for me because it really is making me pinpoint character motivations. Like, what makes this character tick? Why is this character here? Why is this character saying what they're saying? And it's been so eye-opening. I love it. And you don't get bogged down by like writing description or writing any of this stuff because you're purely focusing on character motivation. What I really want to do is kind of take you through Scrivener and show you where we're at and where I'd like to be and kind of set a game plan. Do you want to say hi to everybody? Do you want to say hi? Do you want to start the book? You're the sweetest. On my screen, you should be able to see my Scrivener. So basically what we have here is what I'm working in with like my current draft. So I basically have draft 1, and you can see here it's like scene 1 dialogue, scene 3 dialogue, and so on and so forth. And so what these all are is like they're literally written like screenplays. So like you go in and it's like Soren, Perry, right? So you can see I'm about 3 scenes into 2A, and you can see here that here I have my draft 0. So I basically just moved my draft 0 from my manuscript to my notes. And there's like, you know, a whole book. There's a whole book written. So basically what I did is I created an outline point of just kind of like trying to do the main plot beats. But basically what I want to do is I want to finish this manuscript. I want to get all 4 acts written for my dialogue first draft. And then what I want to do is I want to basically go in and take my dialogue first draft and beef it up and put descriptions in. So I just need to finish my dialogue first draft, which honestly has been kind of tricky. I think that I can maybe finish it in 2 weeks, but I'm not sure. There's always this kind of like give and take between how long do I actually want to take to finish this? Like, am I going to speed through it and regret it at the end? Or is it better to actually like have a finished product so that I can actually like mess around with so that I can better understand how I want this book to look like? Because sometimes it's actually easier going from, okay, I know that actually what I did here is not what I want, so I understand better how I want it to be. And that's kind of one of the beauties of revision, that as I become more comfortable with revision, I'm starting to realize is like, it's actually really useful to sometimes just write something really crappy because it helps you realize how you actually want it to be. It's giving you juxtaposition for what you have down on the page and then the vision that you have for it in your mind, right? So that's my Pokemon. I've been using this website called Pokemon that basically helps me focus. So I need to take a break. It told me that my focus limit was reached. That's my goal. Finish dialogue first draft and then start writing my real draft 1 in July into August. I think I can probably wind up writing a full first draft in 2 months. And then I think I'm going to need to let it sit for a couple weeks. And then after that, after I let it sit for a little while, I think that I can go in, edit, try to make it better. And the thing that I've always heard about beta readers is it's like always so much better to try to give your beta readers a copy of your manuscript that is as good as you could possibly get it. And so I don't want to like rush through to betas. I don't want to rush through and do a crappy job. Like, I want to do a good job, but I also need to like light a fire under my butt and like get it going, because we gotta finish the book. We gotta finish the dang book, you know? I'm gonna do writing vlogs to try to finish this dialogue first draft, and